Hey Growing Zone kids, it's Pastor Jason. Let's do question 24 from the New City Catechism for Kids. The question is, why was it necessary for Christ, the Redeemer, to die? And the answer is, Christ died willingly in our place to deliver us from the power and penalty of sin and to bring us back to God. You know, this is a really important question because this question really asks us, is there any other way that Jesus could have done it? Was there any other way to bring us back to God, or was this the only way? That's what the word necessary means. Well, have you ever been in a corn maze? I think they're really cool. It's when a farmer plants a field of corn and cuts a maze out of it. And it's really cool to run between the stalks of corn, and they're really high. They're over your head, so you can't see where you're going, and your job is to try to find the way out. But as you're running through the maze, you'll come to a fork where you could go left or you could go right, and you have to choose which is the way to go. Well, if you choose the wrong way, eventually you'll end up at a dead end, and you have to go back to where you were before and choose the other way. The whole point of a maze is that there's only one way to get out of the maze. Well, this question teaches us that there was no other way to be redeemed, to have our relationship with God fixed. It was necessary for Christ to die on the cross. And just like there's only one exit out of a maze, there's only one way to be brought back into relationship with God and to have our relationship fixed. Well, the first thing that this answer teaches us is that Jesus saved us from the power of sin to bring us back to God. So what does that mean? Well, do you like superheroes? I like superheroes. Have you heard of Superman? I think everybody's heard of Superman. He's really cool, right? He can fly, he can go really fast, he can shoot lasers from his eyes, and he's really, really strong, which would be really handy, right? Can you imagine bad guys trying to tie up Superman with rope or chain? They wouldn't get very far, they wouldn't last very long because Superman would just go and break the chains and be able to fly away. You know, the Bible tells us that the sin in our lives, when we choose to disobey God, that sin is like a chain and it chains us up, and we are under the power of sin. And sin makes it so that we can't escape to go be with God. We're under the power of sin and we can't do anything about it. And you know what? We're not like Superman. We can't just break these chains. Nobody, no human being is able to break the chains of sin. We just are not able to. We're not powerful enough. We need someone to save us, to rescue us from the power of sin. Well, the good news is that there is somebody who's more powerful than sin. And I think you know who it is. It's Jesus. Jesus proved by dying on the cross that he is more powerful than sin. Actually, he proved not just by dying on the cross, but he proved by being raised from the dead on the third day that he is more powerful than sin. See, the Bible tells us that we deserve to die when we sin, and that's very true, right? And Jesus took our sin upon him when he died on the cross, and that's why he died. But because he's more powerful than sin, he didn't stay dead, but God raised him to life again on that third day. If we believe in Jesus and we trust that he took our sins away, then Jesus comes and he breaks those chains for us. He saves us from the power of sin, and he saves us so that we can be with God one day. So Jesus saves us from the power of sin, but he also saves us from the penalty of sin. Now, do you know what a penalty is? Well, think of it this way. Do you know what a speeding ticket is? You should ask your mom and dad if they ever got one. A speeding ticket is when a policeman finds somebody driving way too fast for what the road allows. There's signs on the road saying you can't go any faster than this, but sometimes people do. So if the policeman finds somebody driving way too fast, they'll stop them and they'll give them a ticket. And on that ticket will be written how fast they were going and what they did wrong, and it'll also say what kind of penalty is there for breaking the law. That penalty is usually paying some money. Well, the Bible tells us that our sin is a penalty or a punishment. Every human being has sinned, and so there's a penalty to pay because of what we've done. We broke God's laws, and there's a penalty. And the bad news is that penalty is so much worse than just paying a little bit of money. This penalty is death. We already kind of talked about it. The penalty of sin is dying and being separated from God forever and ever and ever. And remember, everybody has sinned. You don't even need a lot of sin to get this punishment. You just need to sin one time. And if you're honest, let's all be honest, we've all sinned at least one time. But really, we sin a lot, don't we? And the worst part about this is that we cannot get ourselves out of this penalty. It's too much for us to try to pay back. We just can't do it. It's impossible. But There is someone who can get us out of this penalty or punishment, and of course, that's Jesus as well. Jesus can save us from the penalty of sin. Remember when I said the punishment for sin is death? Well, when Jesus died on the cross, he took that punishment, that penalty, for us. You see, Jesus never sinned, right? So he didn't deserve to die, but he did die. And he died because you and I deserve it, but he took our place. So Jesus paid the penalty of our sin for us. And I always like to say, if Jesus paid the penalty for all of our sin, how much penalty is left for us to pay? None of it, because Jesus took it all. And so he frees us from the penalty of sin so that we can be with God forever one day. It's like if somebody gets a speeding ticket and they have to pay some money, but one of their friends comes and says, you know what, I'll pay the money for you. They still sped, didn't they? They still sinned. The penalty was still there. It's just that somebody else paid it for them. And that's exactly what Jesus did for us on the cross. So I love this question because it teaches us that Jesus saves us from the power of sin by breaking those chains, but he also saves us from the penalty of sin by paying it for us fully. Now that's good news.